flying from Salt Lake City to Los Angeles one day, and I was somewhere around St. George, not over Las Vegas yet, when they lit one off of, what is it,
Vandenberg.
Vandenberg, there and on the coast of California, early in the morning. Boy, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight.
If you're on the ground, we were in Victorville, and it was actually two of us were leaving the party to go get more beer.
No.
And they launched one out of Vandenberg, and it was after sunset, but when it went up, it didn't look like something going up, it looked like something coming in, because of the trajectory or whatever.
Yeah.
And we both looked at each other going,
You thought,
uh-oh, we better get that beer quick and finish it, because this is about to, I mean, it looked like it was coming straight for us.
all right. It's 4 o'clock. May the regular meeting in the River Plantation Municipal Utility District come to order. And first order of business will be to confirm the minutes of prior meetings, namely August the 23rd. Has everybody had a chance to look at those minutes?
Yes, sir.
Would entertain a motion to approve if there are no changes.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion made to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made and seconded to approve the minutes of August the 23rd. All in favor?
Aye.
Show as unanimous. Minutes of the meeting of September 11. A special meeting called to discuss the proposed tax situation. Any comments or changes? Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion made.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's dispensed with. All right, comments from the public? Go ahead.
Okay, I was wondering, we talked about nepotism at the last meeting, but I don't see it on the agenda.
It's not, it'll come under the last item, pending business.
Well, isn't pending business supposed to have been an agenda item already? And then it's still pending?
It wasn't an agenda item, it was a comment you
I know-
made,
yeah,
and
that's
I
what
said
I'm
I would
saying.
answer it.
Yeah, but you put
And we're
it
gonna
under
do it under
pending
pending
business,
business.
but nobody knows what you're gonna discuss. It's not listed under pending business.
Okay.
You know, the public has the right to know what's gonna be going on at a meeting.
The public will know at the end of this session. Yes, ma'am, do you have anything?
I'm just here.
Okay, I'm not done.
Go right ahead.
Okay, I wondered if you got any information from the attorney on this?
From who?
Do you have your hearing
One
aid
of
in?
them. I can hear half it.
Okay. Did you discuss this with the attorney? You mentioned you were gonna call the attorney.
I will answer that in the pending business.
Okay, did he give you
It's
anything
the
in
same
writing?
comment, Dolores.
No, did he give
Just-
you anything in writing?
No, he did not.
Oh. That's
I didn't ask
interesting.
for it in writing.
Well, you probably should have gotten it in writing. Anyway, there is no website for the MUD. Why? Hasn't been for a few weeks.
There hasn't been
Is it
a
down?
website. It's down.
Well, yeah, it just comes up with all these various things on the MUD, but it's just address or phone numbers. There's no website.
No content.
No, nothing. Not even the page, front page. There's nothing, and no reason why it's not there.
It may be down.
Has to be in there.
I don't look at it, so.
I don't look at it either.
Who
so I
would we
wouldn't
need,
know.
who would we get for that? Is that you, Richard?
Yeah, I mean, I just put the agenda on it a couple days ago, it's working fine.
Oh, I don't know.
I just logged
tried
into it
on-
and
Really? I
updated the
tried
agenda
it
and it was
on-
fine.
I tried it on both Firefox and Chrome and couldn't get it.
But maybe the public viewing it, you might be able to access it to be an administrator.
No,
but-
after I'm done, I view it as an independent page.
Oh, okay.
And it works fine.
What browser are you using?
I just use theirs, it's Google.
Okay,
I go through that and update it and post it to the web and then I check it and then I'm off.
okay.
It was working fine.
I've never been to it, I don't think.
I'll check into it, but should have been fine.
Please do.
Could you get it, Jamie? Were you trying to get on
I'm
it?
trying, it's,
Yeah, you can't get.
can't get Wi-Fi in here, it's just spinning. Can't get anything to come up. This is what I get, it's just spinning,
Just grinding away.
yeah.
That's what I get for turning off my phone.
I feel naked, Tim, you and I feel naked, we don't have anything.
Mine's in my pocket, I figured there's enough people already trying
Already
to do
looking
it.
at it, why bother?
Just making it harder to get on there.
That's it. Yeah, I don't get anything. But it could be my Wi-Fi, my
I
internet.
don't get any internet in here either.
Yeah, see.
We'll get it back up.
Thank you.
Richard will.
Are we supposed to have Wi-Fi? Is that what we're supposed to have here? 'Cause I have no Wi-Fi, so I obviously don't have
It might be the
anything
net,
else.
might be the net down, I don't know.
According to the president of the CIA, they were having modem problems the other day, so I don't know if maybe
It's probably.
if it's an area issue or what.
Consolidated, it's always an issue.
Oh,
It was a consolidated issue.
that's all you have to
Yes.
say.
Our email stops working, everything stops working. I have to call them, they say it's an issue they're working on.
You might try SuddenLink. I never have a problem.
They're-
No, they don't
barely
carry
bad.
AT&T Southwest.
They don't.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Does Consolidated carry any? Just off the cuff, do they carry the?
Consolidated does,
Oh, okay.
Carries the what?
carries the rockets and the
That's
Astros,
Oh, I get the Astro and DirecTV.
Okay.
or DirecTV, yeah, you can get them on there. You through? Review the bookkeeper's report.
I have a comment about the, one of the certificates of deposit, one that's about to expire.
Right here.
We're gonna renew that, right? I know that we talked about some of the other ones last month, but we're gonna renew this one at a much better rate, correct?
I would hope so.
Yep.
Okay.
I hope we renew them all as they come due, as long as we don't need them.
That's right.
Okay.
But I think you should wait 1 month. And
Think
you'll
it's
have
gonna-
another
You'll have it.
quarter and a half percent, 3.
It's gonna bump again, you think?
Yep. Yep, they're gonna bump it in October, I'm sure.
But do ours automatically, if you don't, do they automatically renew if you don't? No?
Unless I tell them.
Okay.
So it'll just float there?
Yeah, I can stall them. That's what I do.
It might be worth the 1 month wait.
Sure.
Yeah.
And as long as you're talking about that subject, I might, do you have, do we have, or have they shown you any 6 or 9 month CDs?
No, not yet.
Well, we're gonna have tax money coming in that we ought to put in 6 month CDs
Right.
and
Stag them.
yeah, rather than just let it sit there in a tax account, I would think.
Yeah, that's what
I would agree.
So it's just something to, I used to be treasurer.
That's a good idea.
Because we may have to have it, you know, that money most any time. You take such a penalty if you have to,
Yeah.
withdraw 'em early. The, any other comments about the bookkeeping report?
I got a question about the tax revenue.
Go right ahead.
It seems that we get, obviously, the bulk of our tax revenue comes in December, January.
Yeah, January,
And then
February,
there's,
yeah.
and then there's some that just trickles in.
That's right.
Is that just people paying late?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we can attest to that.
Or it could be if there's a house sale.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Okay.
Yeah,
people have until February 28th, I think, to pay without penalty. And they're due on January 1st. So that's the reason why you get January, February. And then you got the people that didn't pay or couldn't pay or for whatever reason on time, or are paying out in some kind of an installment. And it keeps going on. Then you've got the people that don't pay for years on hand, and that's the reason we've got a list down there that's 20 years long.
Okay.
So out of the 145,000 of Hurricane Harvey expense, we only got reimbursed 22.
no, they reimbursed me for my $25,000 deductible. They've already paid for everything else at
Okay.
100%.
All right,
FEMA's paying us back for the 25,000 we had to shell out,
okay.
at, of course, 90%.
I'm assuming maintenance payroll's so far over budget because of the hurricane and everything.
No, that is an issue which I'll correct on the next sheet. Our TML guy was saying that we have 3 different classes of insurance for the employees: water, wastewater, and clerical. And every year, we end up only having 2, which is wastewater and clerical, because what he says, if it's over 52%, he just eliminates the water and throws it in this wastewater.
Okay.
So last year, he said, well, don't bother making out that sheet anymore, which splits it apart. And so that's what happened. So now I'm looking at the P&L, and I was telling the bookkeeper the other day, I says, I don't like the way that's,
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to break it back out and do it on my own.
yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna be doing all weekend, is breaking it all back out, so it'll be rectified at the end of the
Okay.
year. But yeah, that's what happened. Everything got dumped into one line.
So we're all paid up on FEMA except for the one claim that we still have in front of people, which is the drainage ditch.
Correct.
They paid for everything up to this point, including the deductible.
Correct.
What about the legal fees and all?
That's the FEMA side. That's for the Plantation Creek one. There was no legal fees with the building or anything else. They've already paid all that. Our insurance paid all of that for us.
Oh, our insurance paid that. Okay. Any questions, any comments? Move on to the operation report, or administrative report, as you call it?
Administrative reports, nothing out of the ordinary, everything's normal in it.
I have a question about the water loss.
Mhm.
We're still almost, we're over 900,000 gallons still at a water loss.
Yep.
And I know that we've compared our percentage to other cities and municipalities, and ours is lower than other areas. But what's a good amount? In other words, just because they may be committing murder and we're only committing a burglary, does that mean that we're doing better than they are? In other words,
Well, my goal understandably is zero.
I know it will never be
It
zero.
will never be zero,
Right.
you know.
But
The only reason
almost
it's-
a million gallons a month is still a lot.
Yeah, the only reason it's that high is because we had another 4-inch main break.
Another one?
Yeah, that was over on Brandon Road. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert E. We had a 4-inch main break over there. And it flowed for who knows how long till, we just happened to go by and see the ditch full of water. So we fixed it. It was cracked line. So,
So it wasn't in a residence, it was strictly in the.
Strictly in our
the
main.
ditch.
yeah. Again, like I said, you're gonna see that when you're going from wet to dry. And we went from a wet part, we had that one dry part. Well, especially in the Brandon Road area, the Robert E. Lee area over here, a lot of clay. Over in the front areas where you got a lot of sand, you don't get as much. But over here, when that clay starts to dry out, now you got a lot of stress on that pipe.
So when you had a month that wasn't out of the ordinary, what should the water loss be?
About 4%. I'd like it to be 2. But I've never seemed to have gotten it down below 4. At least not yet. I mean, I'd be happy with 2. And the other thing I have in the manager's report is that plant one's remodel is doing good. All the pumps are in place now. All the pipes are in place now. I just filled the tank today, so I'm gonna put it temporarily back online here for a couple of months. I'll probably put it online Monday. And let it run until January, then we'll tear down the control building and then remodel that. That's included in the budget for next year, so, but we're not talking a lot of money for the building. I'm upgrading all the controls in there, all the disconnects, all the electrical. Some of that stuff's still 1960s vintage, so it's due to be done. Pumps are all in and in place. They'll run way more efficient than the original ones will. And it's a lot cleaner looking. It's not inside a building anymore. It's not sitting in mud. It's up on concrete and everything looks nice. So when we get done, it'll look really good.
So all the equipment that you had projected for 18 will be,
This is my capital projects list. Now, I could give you a formal capital expenditures report, but this is a fast way to glance at things, not only to see historically what we've done, but what I'm looking at in the future.
but these 3 are the 3 that need to, well, the first one is probably the one you're working on now, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the other 2 still need to happen.
Yes.
The concrete plate repairs to the drainage ditch is now in the hands of did they open the bids today?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. And the bids were?
385,000 to 1.2 million.
So we had how many bids?
8.
How many?
8.
8 bids.
Wow, and they were that far.
And so
Most of them were right in the 600,000 range.
what about the 385?
The
The one that
385,
we've worked
and
with
then the next one
before?
from that one up was 460 or 480.
Were they all bidding apples to apples and not?
Supposedly.
So you
Put
have
it to you this
back
way,
out-
they're bidding according to what FEMA wanted it at. So there's a lot of variables in there, and so the contractors are reacting to that. The 3 lowest bids are the people I actually met with. They actually came out here, and I showed them what the project was, how they could get access in and out, where they could store their equipment, things like that. And they came in at a lot lower than the other ones that were looking at it saying, hey, we know nothing about this, and they just shot it up.
And FEMA's paying for this, or contributing to it?
That's the problem.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
That
is-
They're dragging their
That's
feet,
up
so
in
we're
our-
gonna- we're gonna just go ahead and do it.
Yes.
Well, we've got to know that we have to do it. The question is whether they're gonna pay for it now.
Right.
We've been in touch with Brian Bader with the Army Corps of Engineers, who the FEMA people claim may or may not have jurisdiction, and anything that feeds into a creek, if the minute somebody finds out about it, they try to claim jurisdiction. So he's looking at it. We don't know whether or not there is a grandfather clause that may or may not come into play. 1969 seems to be the magic day for the grandfather clause. If we had it in and we didn't, before 1969, it would be under the grandfather clause. It would be no problem. Number two, this ditch has never been permitted, if we find out. Whoever built it the first time never permitted it. Whoever dredged it out the first time never permitted it. That goes back to the mid-60s. So,
Did the county even have a permitting system back in?
well, it wasn't the county. It's still the Army Corps of Engineers because it goes into the wetlands, and there were wetlands rules and regulations back then, and it goes back, I don't know how far back. But to make a long story short, it's a battle we're about to maybe have a 50-50 chance of winning. Okay?
Okay.
Now, Mr. Bader's supposed to call us, depending on I've had some dealings with him in the past on some other matters, and I know somehow about how they work down there, and they don't stick their neck out for anything. So the question is whether or not we can provide him an avenue of escape. But I'm willing to make the trip down there to see if we can. Anyway, that's the whole story on where we stand. So I think we better plan on about a between a $400,000 and $500,000 bid cost, of which our cost will be $300,000, $250,000, 60% of, roughly.
I think didn't you estimate 350?
That's 350 because, remember, EPUD has to pay 50% of that. So that's,
700.
yes. See, I originally figured around 400,000 to fix it, but then I figured change orders because once you pull the plate and you find what kind of a void's underneath there comes the first change order. Just because FEMA said there's, 45 square foot area, well, you pull it out, now you got 68, there's a change order. And the way they did it, and the way we had to bid it according to them, is they did it by section. So each section has a number, not the whole project. So that's what's making it even more complicated. So you're liable to have 50 different change orders because there's 50 sections.
Right. So did the bid come in for the whole section, or each section had a
Each
separate
section
bid?
had a separate bid, which totaled up.
So what happens if somebody gets the bid for one section and somebody else gets the bid for?
Would-
You wouldn't have-
No, it's whoever gets
Okay.
the contract will get it for the whole thing.
The whole job.
Okay.
Makes no sense to do it that way.
Right.
You got too many rig ups and rig downs.
Right.
They charge each way.
Stepping on toes.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
So,
Anyway, back to any other questions about are we on the budget now?
can be if you want to.
Well, I mean, we jumped to the CapEx
Next.
budget.
The next one is the bookkeeping contract.
Well, I mean,
Remember, you discussed it when it wasn't on the agenda, so we put it on the agenda for us to approve the renewal of the contract.
that's
with
right.
Hooker Airport.
that's right.
All you have to do is sign it.
Yeah.
Have we already approved it?
No, but you can approve it in this meeting. It's on the agenda to be approved.
It was just a small,
We talked about it.
Yeah.
yeah, we talked about it, it was just a small.
$75.
Yeah, we just couldn't approve
They
it.
went up,
75 a month, was it?
I'm trying to find out where they did go up.
They were up to, what, 12 something like
Ms. Gilmer, you're used to all this. Do you accept this agreement?
that? Yes.
Entertain a motion to accept.
I'll accept.
I'll say.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, now the operating budget for the year. Basically, revenues are down. And I see he has he's tried to balance everything out, so therefore you're not running a negative, at least at this point, a negative budget. But remember, a budget is just that. It's an aim point. We aim to do that or better. But there are certain things that come about that we have no control over.
You had mentioned when we were talking about back taxes being owed and what have you, or what are we doing to try and collect some of those back taxes?
The county handles that.
Yes,
That's under the county
Okay.
purview
right.
because they collect our taxes.
Okay,
And the county, as they do the school taxes, the county taxes, the EMD taxes, so forth, so on. And we all supposedly share those costs. Now, what they do for delinquent taxes, they have a law firm, and I think it's Blair's,
Blair, Herb,
probably.
Herb.
And they go out and if they can't reach any kind of solution for payment at this point, at an early time, then they're sued, and then the lawyers get involved. And that comes out of the settlement, if they're not able to recover some of the legal fees in the settlement. Okay? So the county handles all of this.
okay.
Correct. We don't touch it. Now, there are some mud districts that do their own. But we've not found it to be economical, if you will.
Well, even the Woodlands gave up theirs and went with the county.
Oh, I would think so. And the biggest problem we got is we've had so many floods in here, you can imagine what kind of havoc that wreaks with taxes and all.
Sure.
So
I've
we-
gone through this thing. I see some pluses and minuses, but
Yeah.
I don't see anything major.
So the way you have payroll broken out on this budget is the way you're gonna have it from now?
Yes,
Okay.
it'll get fixed at the next one.
Got it.
It's more realistic to see how much we're spending
It's
in
easier
water
to see,
and sewer and everything else, rather than clumping it all in one.
right?
You know. It spreads it out easier. It's easier to just lump it in one, don't get me wrong, for me it is, but it's more, it's better to justify it in that way, you know what your water expenses are, including payroll.
Did we include the potential increase in accounting fees in the budget, or is it
Yes.
just
Yeah,
so
it's-
minuscule?
It's already in there,
Okay.
yes.
Now, in his budget, he does have maintenance tax collection. That is 100% of what he hopes to collect. It won't be 100%,
Yeah.
but should be 95 to 97%, somewhere in that range. But he's also short on his interest income, I think, so picks it up, we pick it up back there. He only carried forth about $3,000 worth of interest on CDs, which with the increased rates that we've achieved here going into next year, we ought to see, instead of having $3,000 or $4,000 worth of income, we ought to see 20 to 30.
Bump there.
Well, we still gotta negotiate with East
Pardon?
Plantation. We still have to negotiate with East Plantation on their fees, on that agreement we have.
Well, that's another matter.
Right. Yeah.
And in fact, chances are, if anything happens, they are, I don't say they're in a dominant position at this time, but their percentage should go up rather than down.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the revenues,
Our revenues will stay basically the same,
right.
okay? It's just that the cost will be, the EPUD revenues may go up slightly.
Right.
And then any CapEx costs that we have will certainly be affected. Any other comment? Okay. The show that is unanimous. We have two items that I want to discuss under pending business. One is to address Dee's concern. The lawyer says that the general manager's position is not subject to the laws that you brought up, and is not subject to the nepotism laws of the state. If we want a written opinion, then we pay for it, and that's the reason I didn't ask for a written opinion. Okay? But he is not subject to the nepotism laws, according to the lawyer.
Because he's a general manager, or what?
Because he's not an elected official. Only the directors are covered under that.
Well, I guess looking at that, it said.
He's a
they
key
make-
employee,
Yeah, but
and that
he-
doesn't count.
Yeah, but he makes all the, he's the only one that hires anybody. You don't even know who the employees are.
We hire him,
Mhm.
and we have then entrusted him with that job, just like we entrust him with the job to keep water well 1 running, and 2, and the sewer plant. Okay? We've entrusted him with that. If we don't like the way he's doing it, then it's up to this board to make the remediation. But we are the ones that are subject to the nepotism law.
Absolutely.
Now, if I had a child or something and I put him to work out here, I would be subject to it.
Well, I guess not a way that, that law was written. It's the employees too, if they have complete control over hiring. What did the attorney
They
say?
don't have complete control, Dee.
He does. You don't even know who he hires. How can you say he doesn't
I'm
have
not
a
gonna
complete?
argue with you. I've made
All
the
right.
statement, that's true.
Okay,
Now, the second item we have is whether or not to do the credit card online payment situation. It was brought up a couple of months ago. Since that time, Tim, you've looked at it further. Ms. Gilmore and I met with a fellow with, what's it called? Payback? Paystar. Pay, whatever it is. And resolved certain questions that we had about what could occur. And the question is, do we wish to proceed further? Now, this matter is open for discussion at the time.
Well, I think we need to make everybody aware of the fact that there is the only fees that we will pay are, there is a $2.50 fee for people that want to draft out of their bank account that we pay. And there's a $2.50 for a $0 to $100 payment, $3 fee for over $100 payment that we pay, okay? Everything else, as long as we want a simple integration with it, the Paystar will cover it with the software company.
So to integrate it, it costs us nothing.
Right.
The fees come into play once somebody uses an e-check to pay their bill.
Right.
And we're not sure yet about what it
I
costs.
think the credit cards were right in that same
Okay.
area, weren't they? Aren't they 2.5%
Pardon?
or 3%?
2.5, 3, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they vary slightly.
Yeah.
Okay. So the credit cards would be a similar amount, it sounds like,
Yeah.
to an e-check.
I don't know about e-checks, e-checks just come
Yeah,
in
I
here.
just happened to write down e-checks were $2.50,
Yeah.
and then the other ones were.
Yeah, that's if they go,
Yeah.
generally the e-checks they send in directly.
No, e-checks are where they draft your bank account.
Oh, well, that's not covered by those people, is it?
Yeah, they'll do it for
Oh, they'll do it?
$2.50. Yep.
I didn't look at that part of it.
So
I was
it
more
would be
concerned
no
with-
different than I have my life insurance and everything automatically taken out.
Same thing as if
already.
you're paying Entergy, they charge you
Right,
$3.
they do it, everything, that's
Yeah.
what I do.
Right.
Yeah,
But we could do the same thing, Entergy, and I don't do it with Consolidated. think
yeah, I
that's
don't know, I mean, we could charge them back for it, I don't know how easy that would be to set it up. We had discussed that we would pay that, but, I mean, we could see how hard
You
it
talking
would be
about the
to,
e-check?
yeah.
The only thing you could do is if they paid by e-check, it'd be added to the bill the next month.
Well, and that's what that's Entergy actually, when
They
you
do
do a
that.
check, it automatically adds $3 to your payment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We could be 1 month behind by doing it.
yeah.
Is this something we wish to pursue? If so, I have Richard bring the gentleman back in here and present us with a contract for everybody.
Yeah.
What would be an estimated monthly, what our fee would be?
Nothing.
We don't have a fee as long
It's
as
only the
it's
people
credit
that
cards.
use it. The only thing it would be was that fee for the people that use it. So, other than that, they cover the fees. So, they charge us $4 for return checks, and we just pass that on to them or charge them more, whatever, so.
And since it doesn't cost us anything to implement the program, it would be interesting to see how many squeaky wheels we really have. Because there were people previously that have said, why doesn't the MUD get into the 21st century and become electronic and all that? Let's call their bluff and let's see
How many will use it?
how many are actually gonna use it.
And you can also pay, one of the other things that I found interesting was, you could also, and Tim and I were talking about it a minute ago, you can go out and pay, let's say your bill's $20, like my bill's usually $30 a month. I can go out and pay a whole year's worth if I want to at one time and be done with it.
Well, that's what I do, just by writing a check.
Yeah.
Pay for 3 or 4 months at a time, 2 or 3, 4 months at a time.
And I like getting off the golf course and just dropping my envelope in the box here and get back on the golf course.
Well, that works also.
Hey,
Unless you have some guy that swears he dropped it in there and then you didn't get it, and then he comes in here and calls you everything but a,
Yes.
yeah. Right, Ginger?
Well, since I've just been in here for a few weeks now, I have had people, when I ask for if it's okay to charge their credit card the $3, they both write me a check or bring a check down.
Yeah.
So some of them don't want to do that. So, I don't know.
Okay, if the board approves, then Mr. General Manager, you're so directed to contact him and see if he can have something here before us for the next board meeting.
I'm sure he'd be glad
To
to hear that.
execute.
Okay.
Do I hear any?
If it's a no-cost item,
It's a no
It's
cost
no
item,
cost
just
to
No
I see.
cost to us, nope.
And we will either approve or disapprove it at the next meeting.
Now, this isn't an introductory offer that This year it doesn't cost us anything, but next
Well,
year,
No, because
You
there's
never
only
know.
one-time integration fee,
So,
so,
let me,
No, they're getting their fees,
yeah.
they're getting their fees.
now, let me get this straight though. Because I look at miles, right? I'm making miles by using credit cards.
You can use your credit card.
Huh?
You can use your
So
credit
I
card.
could use
Yeah.
my credit card instead of the
You can use
check?
it now,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Well, but.
but it costs you $3, yeah, I know.
yeah.
yeah.
Still gonna cost you, even online, it's gonna cost you.
It's gonna cost you.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Online's a lot easier. I do that
And we're not-
every day.
yeah.
We're
I
not
pay
gonna go to
everything.
only being able to do it by this system.
No,
If I
you can
still
do it
wanna-
either way.
If I were to write a
Yeah.
check.
If I want-
It's just
if you wanna
another
write a
way
check,
of
I do
paying.
that. Sometimes I write a check and send it, who knows?
It's just an option for people that, well, like you travel a lot, but not a great periods of time. Some people travel, I mean, I'm gonna be gone almost the whole month of December, so, you know, my husband doesn't remember to pay the water bill, we have no water when I come home. So,
Oh, no, he gives you 60 days,
yeah,
don't you?
Yeah,
I know people.
yeah.
you know
I
people.
know people.
We have-
Anyway.
We have a lot of accounts that pay a year in advance like
See,
you
I
said.
would,
We got
I'd
6
pay
months.
I'd pay a year.
They
at
go
a time.
overseas and they don't come back for a year and they pay
Yeah.
a year up front.
Yeah. Does anybody have any further questions or
No,
any
sir.
matters they wish to discuss?
Sounds good for the.
How about a follow-up to something that we talked about last month, as far as getting your grass cut? Dean,
Yeah.
was that done successfully and to your,
Yeah, what's your schedule, Richard?
We don't have one, we just, whenever it gets so high, then we'll go cut it.
Okay, yeah, because
It
I
also
usually,
depends on the rain too.
right, I
Can't
usually
cut it
call when it gets high and then somebody to be out there, so that's still gonna work? Okay,
okay?
yes, thank you.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Don't forget-
Seconded?
Second.
Don't forget to sign checks.
Third.
Pardon?
Don't forget to sign the checks.
Oh, that's right.
Let's sign the check.
Your favorite
Motion made and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.